Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. From Fort Clark Springs, Texas, this is Rusty 78609, going to give you a little history here of this area of Texas, in that this fort was built in 1857 as part of the protection plan for the pioneers that were living out here in this area of Texas and further on west also, to protect them from the Comanches, the Apaches, and the other raiding Indians that came into Texas and stole their horses and killed them or whatever they did. And you can't hardly blame them. But anyway, this was during the Western invasion. This was in the I guess early 1800s, all the way up till they had a battle here in 1840. We'll talk more about that in a minute. But the Comanche Indians used this area here, Los Moyes Springs, which is this pure spring over here. It was diverted for the swimming pool and all that stuff. The Indians did not build that swimming pool, or the Native Americans. Let me stand corrected there. But this is just a crystal clear spring that's been flowing here for hundreds and hundreds of years. The Native Americans, Comanches, discovered it hundreds of years ago, and this was their winter camp, because this is a warm area in the USA to come to in the winter time, and then they migrate north in the summertime. But yeah, in order to support a large group of Native Americans like they were then, you needed water and you needed game. Okay, and you had both of them here in this area, game being deer and rabbits, squirrels, whatever else that they'd hunt to eat, and you had to have a lot of it, because it's estimated that approximately, well, this is a pretty good approximation, 4,000 to 8,000 Comanches resided here during the wintertime in this area right here at Fort Clark Springs. And you take 4,000, let's just take 4,000 and say that there's about 3 people per household, then that's going to give you around 1,600 tents or teepees. So can you imagine all of this area that we're looking at right now covered with teepees, barking dogs, kids running around, old folks and stuff. And then of course you had the warriors, that went on their raids into Mexico, which is about 30 miles away. And what they could do is they could raid into Mexico, cross the Rio Grande River, and do whatever they needed to do in the way of stealing horses and whatever else they could pick up, and then head back here. And it was, a 2-day ride or whatever it was, and they could do pretty good on that. And they did for a number of years. But then in 1840, I don't know what happened. Apparently the Comanches raided some people here in this area and slaughtered them or whatever. And I'm sure that was going on both sides. I'm not just saying they were guilty of anything. But this plaque shows, I'll put it up close enough where you can read it. But anyway, this is it says fight at Los Moyes Spring, October 13th, 1840. And this guy, George T. Howard, was involved, and but anyway, this is Kinney County, Texas. There's a picture of a Native American there. But what it is, I'll read part of it. But it says a force of 180 Texans made up of Captains Gillen's company, and then it goes on to describe who it was all made up with, all under the command of Major George T. Howard, attacked a large Comanche village at Los Moyes Spring on the morning of October 13th, 1840. And anyway, it says most of the Indians fled and were pursued by the Texans. And anyway, it talks about, the killing and all the crap. And but that really didn't end the problem with the Comanches. It exacerbated it in some ways, based on what I read on Google. In that for years following this, I guess you'd say, slaughter, because when they came in, of course, they surprised the village at a time when the warriors, or I guess you'd call them the warriors, had gone into Mexico on a raid. They were watching the encampment when the warriors left on their raid into Mexico. Then they came in and attacked. Well, what were they attacking at that time? Old folks, dogs, and children. Kind of a one-sided battle, you know what I mean? But, that's the way you win wars. You catch your opponent relaxed in the shade, like we did at San Jacinto, Santa Ana, or I say we, the Texicans, did, and back when. But yeah, but if you look around here, now the mesquite tree is not native to Texas. That was brought in supposedly by the Spaniards back in the 1600s, 1400s, whenever the hell it was. And but the oak tree is native to Texas. So I would suppose that some of these oak trees, particularly this guy here, if it could talk, which apparently it can, I was trying to talk to it earlier, this guy could probably tell you who was camped under this tree, okay? But it ain't. But anyway, it's amazing to me that clash of cultures that happened in the early 1800s all the way up to the late 1800s between the Europeans migrating west is similar to the migrations we have now. You know, the borders that we have now aren't respected by many people all over the world. They migrate into places, and they're doing it to survive. You know, now the Europeans were after land or free land primarily. But anyway, here we go right here. This says Moyes Springs, Texas, historic camping ground, Comanche Nation, lords of the plains, and they were. The downside of that being lords of the plains is the Native Americans were not united in any form. I mean, they warred among themselves. The tribes warred among themselves because, you know, they had to protect their hunting grounds and so forth. And so, you know, if you fragment any group of people, you know, like it's happening today, you know, our nation is fragmented into liberals, conservatives, you know, you got baby boomers, millennials, and all kinds. We fragment ourselves in all different ways. They're easy to conquer, you know what I mean? You know, you just kind of move in. But if you look around here and imagine, or use your, now see there, the chief, that's the chief's golf cart right there. That is Muy Bueno Macho Taco. That's the name of the chief, if you can remember that. That's his golf cart. That's a Yamasita. That's how they say it in Comanche. And anyway, that's the chief's golf cart. Not many chiefs had golf carts in the 1840s, but Chief Yamashita, or whoever it was, had one. And that's a true story. But having said that, guys, history all around you. Does it mean anything in the past? Oh, I guess it gives us sort of a sense of direction maybe into the future, you know. I think the mass migrations of the humanity have slowed down to a trickle, and population is declining, or it's increasing at a decreasing rate worldwide as people become more and more educated via the internet. You know, as the internet expands, birth rates decrease. That's a fact. So having said that, guys, from Moyes Springs, it's Las Moras, M-O-R-A-S Springs, Texas. This is Rusty 7, or not Texas, but Fort Clark Springs. That's what they call it, but the springs are actually Las Moras. And they say when you cross that bridge over there, all your sins are erased. Well, I got mine pretty well cleaned up. So anyway, that's a swimming pool there. That's fresh water from the spring that just flows in and out, and that water is cold. It costs you $5 to go swimming there in the summer or whenever. But anyway, enjoy your life, guys. Adios, amigos. Bye-bye. Use the Amazon link if you think about it. Drink plenty of water and keep your health.